Hello beautiful people out there, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to integrate Paystack into your React project or applications. Here, as you can see, I already have a React installed, and of course, I use create React app command to create this project. And the name of the project is Paystack, as you can see, and it's been installed into another folder or directory called Paystack. As you can also see, we have a particular package called at paystack/inline.js version 2. This is from Paystack. So this package is created by Paystack for their customers so that they can easily embed it into their React project. So to have this installed into your React project, all you need to write is, well, after you navigate into your project, that is that folder where your project resides, all you need to do is to write this command into your VS Code terminal, npm I at paystack/inline.js, and just hit enter key, and you have this installed as part of your dependencies, as you can clearly see here. So after installing this, let me close this. You can now start making use of that package in your project. As you can clearly see, I have it import already. As you can see, I have a import pay stack pop from Paystack. So just have this imported and imported into your project, and here you go. So start making use of that package created by Paystack. So to start with, I've created also a component called Paystack integration, and I've created a file called Paystack integration.js inside a folder called components. So I think that is pretty much what we have to do now, and the next thing we need to do is to import um, this into our root component called app. So to actually make use of our let me just import it first so that we won't have any error or challenge, because currently if we should just check this out in our browser, I think you can see now nothing is there, everything is blank. So let me go back to VS Code. So let me quickly import it. Let me say Paystack. Let me write Paystack integration. I think, okay, this is the um, component we want to import. You can see now it has already imported it, so you have to import it into your root component before you can actually, so you can name your component whatever you wish. So whatever name you want to give, you are free to give any name, but me, I just choose this Paystack integration. So let me close this. I'm done with this aspect. Go back to the component. So the next thing we need to do now is to work on our UI. So I'm going to copy the HTML input as it is on a Paystack documentation. So let's have that. All right, we have the HTML input element on our UI now, as you can see. So let's save it and see how it looks like on our browser. Let me refresh. So as you can see, we have a email address, amount, first name and last name, and of course we have a pay button, as you can clearly see. So I think this is not looking nice. So let's do a bit of a CSS here. So I have the CSS I like to use here because it's very, very lightweight. So I normally use a W3 to CSS. So let's grab that first. So let me go to W3 CSS. Then, so I want to copy the CSS library. So it's a CSS library from W3. schools, and is very very fast. No JavaScript, no JavaScript rather, is lightweight, very very fast. So that's why I like using it. So now let me copy the CSS source code first. So now we have this. So I will just copy this URL now. So let me just, as you can see here now, we have the source code ready. Then we just copy this. Let me close this, and then I will go to app.css. As you can see, I've already removed the CSS that comes with React. So let me paste our new CSS now. Okay, so our CSS is now ready. So all I need to do is just to save this, then I can now close the file. So we can start making use of our CSS. So the first thing I need to do here now is to start making use of the classes in this library, W3 CSS library. So now the first thing we write is to have the container W3 container. So then W3 row, because I'm going to create a kind of split the screen into three, because I want the form to be at the center. So now I've already done that. So we have the row, the setup. So the next thing we need to do now, I want to create the kind of a header. So I have div, then inside the div I will have a history, have a make payment. So just a simple stuff. So then we have another class. This time I will have a w3, the container, then the color w3. Let's just make use of blue. I like the blue color a lot. So then let's have this at the center. Then the class name, w3 center. Let's view this on our browser and see how it looks now. So as you can see, it's not looking bad. I think it's nice. So let's continue. The next thing we need to do now is to have another div. Then I will wrap other part of the form inside this div. Then I will have another, want to make use another class. So this time around we have another container, then have a w3 card for. All right, let's check this. Okay, you can see our card now. You can see everything here. Everything is working fine now. The next thing we need to do now, let's work on our, okay, and let me open another div above our card. Time around we have another class, a w3 container again, then have a w3 dot. Let me grab this by copying this. Then we have a w3 half. So I'm going to grab this and paste it. Let's save and see again. Okay, I think we have everything at the center now. I think let's try quarter here. I think okay, exactly. So now let's work on our forms now. So all we need to do is just to have a class name, another class name this time, and w3 input. So this CSS one input feeds. So let's see how it looks on the browser. Okay, now it's looking better. So let's just grab this by copying the w3 input class. So I paste it our amount. I paste it in the first name also, and the last name. So let's save it and see. Okay, I think it's looking a little bit nicer now. So let's continue. So let's work on our button. As you can see, the button is not looking nice. So let's try to style it a little bit. Let's have a class name, then w3 again, btn. Let's save and check it again. Okay, I think it's looking better now, but we can still make it look a little bit and see. Let's have a w3 block and then w 3, color 1. Let's use blue also. So the as you can see, the effect of that block, so it makes it looks wider, and the color is now blue. Form is not looking bad, so at least we are good to go with it. We are done with our UI. So now let's work on our state now. So to start working on our state, don't forget to import useState hook. So the first thing I will do now, so let me create the variable, then followed by array, then we have a email, and set use date. So we call the use date function here. Then let's copy. Okay, this should be empty. Don't wait anything to appear inside our form when the component renders. So we have a amount there, amount, then we have a set amount. Let's save this. So we have a email, we work on the email, then amount. So let's work on our first name and the last name, that we can collect any input on the form or any data. So now we have a first name, set first name, yes, last name, then we have a set last name, set last name. So now inside our input element, we have a value, then our initial value. I mean, we have a email, and don't expect to have anything when the page renders. That's why we have a empty string. Oh, I've forgotten to put that into this also. Okay, so we do that. So before that, let's work on change event handler. Change of a function set email e dot target for value. So of course, for you to make use of this package by uh, Paystack inline JS for React, I expect you to at least have a basic understanding of React and React hooks. So if you know you don't understand all these things that I'm doing here now, so it's better. I will advise you to go back and learn the basic of React and the React hooks. So after learning that, you can now come back and watch the video. So let me continue. Then the next one now is amount. Then we set this to, so in our first name, have a first name, set first name. Lastly, our last name. So let's have the variable, then set last name. Okay. Now if I should save and go back to our browser, my browser, let's see. So if I should type a King Blue, so you can see everything is working fine. So let's go back to our VS Code. Now the next thing we need to work on now is our button, pay button. So here now I will declare another so before that, let me create a function. Let me declare a variable. So I will call this pay with paystack. It's going to be an arrow function. So after that, then you can now make use of it in our button. So here I'm going to have a on click and click, then here say event, then you can now say e dot event default to prevent a page reload. So after that, let's just alert one to see if our button is working. If I show, so our button is working fine now. So let's go back to VS Code. So let's start making use of our Paystack library they provide for us, so that we can actually integrate the Paystack into any of our React app, making use of the package they make available for us. So here now, this is what we have imported. So before that, I'm going to declare a variable called Paystack. So say const Paystack. So actually, this is going to be an instance of this what we have here. So it's going to be an instance of this object. So we have that instance already, and the object. Then we can now start making use of it. Say Paystack dot new transaction, and have another object. We have a key, name key, then the value. So what's going to be the value here is simple. So we are going to copy our public key from Paystack. So let's quickly do that. by logging in into our Paystack dashboard. So as you can see, I've successfully logged in into my Paystack dashboard. So to get my public key now, I'll go to settings. So everything is still in test mode. So after getting here now, so I click on API keys and webhooks. So as you can see, so I click on API keys and the webhooks so that I can easily get my test key. As you can see, we have a live secret keys and a live public key because we are still in the test mode, as you can see here now. So we are not going to make use of that. So we will scroll down a little bit to get our test public key. All I need to do is to grab this. So when I grab that, you can see now I've successfully copied the test public key. So let me close this as we don't need that again. Then let me go back to our VS Code. So all I need to do is to paste this as the value. So now we are done with that. Then the next thing we need to do now is to have another key called amount with the value called amount also. So using a okay, I think let's leave it like that for now. Then the next one is a email. Then we can use a shorthand. Then first name, last name using a shorthand. So I think we have any error here. So everything is looking nice. So let's go back to our browser to test out our integration if it's working fine. So let me refresh the browser. So after that, then let me just make use of my email and then oh sorry, I'm putting amount there. Let me have a 500 naira for instance. So click on pay. So let's wait for the payment interface to come up. So still trying to fetch interface. Just wait a little bit. Okay, as you can see now, we have the interface where we can actually make our payments. But as you can see here now, we are having 5 naira instead of 500 that we actually inputted. So how we can actually correct that is multiplying the amount with 100 because everything is in Kobo. So have that. So if I should refresh the browser, let me have the input in our, you can see now we're having a 500. So let's continue with our coding. Now the next thing we need to do now, there is a method called on sources which have a transaction as a parameter. Then inside the method we want to declare a variable called message okay, statics, then let's say payment complete, then reference transaction dot reference, then now alert message. Then the next method is on cancel. This does not have any parameter, so then just so this we will be this on cancel method will be triggered once if the user clicks on the close button. Let's say the user probably is no longer interested in the transaction. Alert something like you okay, let's say you have cancelled the transaction. You can have a maybe confirm like pop up or so anything just to you can come up with anything here, but just for simplicity here. So I think that's pretty much what we have to do here now. So let's go back to our browser and see how everything works. So that's the same thing then. If I should write put a 500 here and I click pay, I click on a pay button. So it's trying to fetch the interface where we can actually put in, Okay, now so this is where you put your card, but hopefully they already provided some cards for us. So I click on here success. So also you can see is Visa card. So if I click on pay 500 naira, then you can see payment successful. What's happening there? Let me try again. I think something okay. So I think there's something over there about the transaction reference. I think we're having a little bit of challenge here. So let me try to with a way to fix that to paste that. Mhm. Um Okay, I think the error is from our own sources. So that sources is not correct. So you should have a double C instead of a single C. So let's save again and see. Let's go head back to the browser. Let me refresh again and the input value. Then let's have our 500 again. Then let me click on the button. We could not start this transaction. This transaction is never already complete. Please confirm. Okay, let's click. Let's cancel this again. Let me try and reload it again. I think it's my internet. Okay, all right. So let's continue. I think I've started my internet. So let me click on the button again. The IP server could not be found. 500. Okay. Now, so sorry for that internet no problem there. Then so we have everything now. So if I should click on this and then click on the payment now, I think we should say alert and our reference ID. Okay, yeah. So everything is working fine now. You can see payment complete reference. This is the reference, the payment reference ID. So that's pretty much about how we can actually integrate Paystack into our React app using Paystack inline JS. So there's last thing that I want us to actually work on. As you can see now, after making the payment, I don't want what we input to still be form feed. So want it to be cleared out. So how we can actually achieve that is very simple. All we need to do is to have this our set state function here and call it here uh, set email, set amount. So we call them here inside our sources method. So let's have a set email. So we set it to empty string, then set amount. So you can do it for the rest. So let's just try it out. I think we should have our email and the amount cleared out. So on success, when the transaction is successful, so let's have our form feed again, then click on pay button. So then I click on success. When I click on pay again, and then by given our transaction ID, if I click on OK, you can see we don't have anything here again inside the email and the amount. But because I didn't work on the first name and the last name, so that's why we still have the data still exists there. So that's it on how to integrate Paystack into our React project. So if you like this tutorial and you appreciate what I'm doing, please don't forget to like the video and also subscribe to my channel, as I'll be releasing videos on React and PHP. So thank you for watching.